Hello everyone, welcome to another Flesh and Blood video. In this video, we'll be going over the last bit of the Outsiders set. In this video, we'll be talking about all of the multi-class cards as well as all of the generic cards. With that said, let's get started. First, let's start with the Assassin and Ninja cards. Flick Knives is an Assassin Ninja Arms that says once per turn, attack reaction. Target dagger you control that isn't the active chain link deals 1 damage to target hero. If damage is dealt this way, the dagger is considered to hit, and then you destroy the dagger. It also has 1 block and blade break. This is a lot better in Assassin than it is in Ninja. In fact, I can say that for most of these cards. Although there are some of them that do work really well inside of Ninja, the main majority will be for Assassin. Ninja has good arms they want to play already. If you're playing Fi, you would rather play Tiger Stripe Shuko, and if you're playing Katsu, you can also play Shuko, but you'd also want to be playing Breaking Scales. Although I could see a world in the future where Flick Knives becomes the play in Ninja, it's really not there right now. Mask of Shifting Perspectives is a Assassin Ninja headpiece with the effect attack reaction, destroy Mask of Shifting Perspectives. Whenever a dagger hits this turn, you may put a card from your hand on the bottom of your deck. If you do, draw a card. This is really just here for sealed formats. It's not the strongest card, but it definitely has its uses to fix your hands. If you're playing Constructed and Assassin, you'd be playing any generic legendary headpiece over this. And if you're playing Ninja, you're playing either of their masks, main 2 masks over this. Blade Cuff is the last Assassin Ninja equipment, and it is another one for the arm slot. It has the effect action, pay 2 resource, destroy Blade Cuff. Your daggers get +1 power this turn, go again. It also has Blade Break and 1 block. This is really just here, again, for draft and sealed. It's not good at all. Other than that, sure, it could be better in the future. It's competing over Flick Knives, though, for that dagger synergy arms. But I could see a world, like with Flick Knives, where this does start seeing play in some form of dagger-based deck, because there are definitely a lot here for daggers. I think if they get one more set that tries to push daggers, these cards could become a lot stronger. And I think it's a good focal point of a set to design around. I think these daggers definitely make sense to design around, but currently, as they are right now, there are only a few key cards that have really good synergy with them, like the Flick Knives, like some of the Majestics we're going to talk about, but none of the other ones are really that strong. Next, let's talk about the Assassin and Ninja Majestics. Starting it off, we have Stab Wound. This is a blue 0 cost, 2 power, 3 block attack with the effect when this hits a hero, they lose X life, where X is the number of times a dagger has hit this combat chain. This card's great in Kodachi Fi, but I don't think it will really see play anywhere else. In a deck like Benji, you could see this as a finisher, but you're really not swinging your daggers in that deck anyway. And it's okay in Katsu since it's a 3 block blue that costs 0, which is generally something you would want. and it is good in that, but it's not going to be the main thing to make you play Katsu. This card doesn't do too much in Assassin. You have really no way to give it go again that you would rather just do on another card. And playing this after your 2 dagger swings feels really weak in Assassin. So, good pickup if you're a ninja player, but not too much if you're an assassin player. Next is Concealed Blades. This is another blue 0 cost that blocks 3 and is a attack reaction for assassin and ninja. It says target assassin or ninja attack action card gains +1 power, and when this hits, equip a dagger from your inventory. If you don't know what your inventory is, because this is a newer thing they're trying to push, your inventory is your equipment that you're not starting the game with in play. So if you have extra daggers in your sideboard, or I believe Taylor searches your inventory for chess pieces, if you've seen that promo card, that's a similar thing. This second effect is really only going to be used in Assassin, since I don't think anyone is teching a third Kodachi to deal with Melting Point, although this could see play if you decide to play a Zephyr Needle. I think that's something that some ninja players will start doing, is with, say, 2 of this. I don't think you're ever going to play 3 of it. With 2 of it, start with the Zephyr Needle and a Kodachi, and then later you can re-equip the other Kodachi. That's a decent play. But it's mainly here for the +1 and being a blue 3 block. I think this card is a sort of a must pickup for Assassin and a pretty good pickup for Ninja. Finally, we have Knives Out. Just like the other 2, this is a blue 0 cost 3 block. This one is another attack reaction, and it gives daggers +1 power this turn. This is really weak. You're not going to play this in Assassin, because if they block a dagger with an equipment, it's going to go to 2 anyway. So they have to block it with a 2 block equipment, and playing this to make sure that dagger hits does nothing. And this won't see play in Ninja because Kodachi for 1 is kind of better than Kodachi for 2, to be honest. Especially when you consider the Kodachi for 2 is using a card in your hand. So, Knives Out, not really good. This could see more play in the future, as I said, with something like Blade Cuff, if they make daggers super strong, like they make some attacks considered daggers or something, because this doesn't say your dagger weapons, this just says daggers. So, I think that could be a cool design space in the future, but for right now, Knives Out does absolutely nothing. Finally, for Assassin and Ninja, let's go over the rares and commons. First, we have Bleed Out. At red, this is a 2 cost 4 power that blocks for 2. It has Bleed Out costs X less resource points, where X is the total damage you've dealt with daggers this combat chain. Go again. Pretty good in Ninja. As I said before, I don't think this is the best Assassin card. Since their daggers are a little too expensive, you're going to end up spending a lot. But in something like Kodachi-Fi and something like some really aggressive Katsu builds, I think this card's really good. Especially in Kodachi-Fi is where I think that this will shine. More in Blitz than in Constructed, to be honest. I've been trying a Kodachi-Fi list that plays this, but it's not too good. But I also have a Kodachi-Fi list in Blitz that I think is pretty good, and that might be the deck I play for Skirmish season coming up. And I might do a video on it if I do well. So look out for that one. Next, we have Hurl. Hurl is at red. 0 cost 2 block with 3 power. Oh, and I forget if I said it. Bleed Out has Go Again. I forget if I said it or not. Hurl also has Go Again. As an additional cost to play Hurl, you may pay 1 resource. If you do, Hurl gains when this attacks. Target dagger you control deals 1 to target hero. If there was damage dealt this way, it is considered to hit, and then you destroy the dagger. It's just an extra Flick Knives effect. Once you have Flick Knives, Hurl does nothing, but if you're a class that can't really play it, such as Ninja, because they have better gloves, Hurl is pretty good. I would think Hurl would be played in Benji, but that's really about it. It seems really good in Benji, just not really good anywhere else. Next is Plunge. Plunge at red is a 1 cost 3 power 2 block with Go Again. When this hits, your next dagger attack this turn gets +1. This card is pretty much useless. It's a common for draft and sealed. Short and Sharp is a 1 cost 2 block attack reaction with choose 1. Target dagger gets +3, or target attack action card with 2 or less base power gets +3. This card's alright. It's not amazing. That's the red version. The other versions go down in power pump. I mean, it's not better than Razor Reflex, but for a sub-theme of cards with lower base power, like with 2 or 1 base power, it's okay. I could see it seeing some play in a dagger-focused deck, or maybe even in Kodachi-Fi, since a lot of their cards have a lower base power. But other than that, Short and Sharp doesn't seem like too good of a card. Next, we have the Assassin and Ranger cards. First is Mask of Malicious Manifestations. It's a headpiece with action, 1 resource. Put a card from your hand or arsenal on the bottom of your deck. Destroy Mask of Malicious Manifestations. Reveal cards from the top of your deck until you reveal an attack action card. Put it into your hand, then shuffle. Go again. It also has 1 block and Bleed Break. A pretty good common headpiece. Another decent draft card for Assassin. And even Ranger. I do personally like the base Ranger headpiece a little more than this if you were playing Ranger. But this card is still good and playable if you're drafting for Ranger. And I think that's really strong. And I think actually in Draft and Sealed this card is really strong, since sometimes you can get a card stuck in your arsenal, and especially if you're playing Ranger, sometimes you put a trap there and then you can't do anything with it. So really good for that. And there are a lot of traps in this set. So I think this card will see play in those draft and sealed formats, as well as in Commoner. I think this could be a pretty strong card. Next is Toxic Tips. This is an arm with action, 1 resource, destroy Toxic Tips. The next attack action card you play this turn gains, when this hits a hero, create a Frailty, Inertia, or Blood-Rot Pox token under their control. Go again. It also has Blade Break and blocks for 1. Another pretty good arm. I've seen some people play this in Constructed, and it seems alright. Personally, I'd just rather play something like a Bullseye Bracers, because in those decks, it's free Arcane Barrier, and you actually care about the active. That's specifically for Ranger. Assassin really won't play this because of how good Flick Knives are. But, hey, it's an option. really good and sealed, like these common equipment are designed for. Next, let's talk about the Assassin and Ranger Majestics. Codex of Bloodrot is a zero-cost yellow Majestic with each hero puts a card from their hand face down into the arsenal. Create a Ponder token under your control and a Bloodrot Pox token under each opponent's control. Go again. This card also blocks for 2. This card's really strong and is pretty good. I don't have much to say about it, unlike I do with the next one. But for a cycle, I think this is the most tame one. It's 2 damage, it replaces itself, it kind of takes a blocking card out of your opponent's hand, obviously if they have a defense reaction or a card in arsenal, not really, but it's a good card. No one's going to say that it's a bad card. Codex of Frailty. Again, 2 block, yellow action that costs 0. Each hero puts an attack action card from their graveyard face down into their arsenal. Each hero that does discards a card. If you have a card in arsenal, you don't put one, so you won't discard a card. Create a Ponder token under your control and a Frailty token under each opponent's control. This card is so much stronger than the other ones. It's insane. Play this in Assassin. Put a Leave No Witnesses into your arsenal. Suddenly, they have 1 less card in hand to block it, and you remove the card they put there from the game. If they don't block it, which in some situations they can't, because you might react over whatever their block. Play this, get a Surgical Extraction, do the same thing. Play this, get a Death Touch, which is a card we'll talk about soon. Give them another token. That's just Assassin. You can do Death Touch in Ranger too, but it's not as strong. Ranger. Card's not actually that strong in Riptide. Sees play in Riptide because it's a super strong card, but main thing is with Azalea. Get a red in the ledger. Ninja loses their next turn in 3 ways. Their Kodachis don't do anything, and they either don't block it, take 5, and do 1 thing, which ruins their whole turn, or block it, take nothing, and have no cards to do next turn, which they also can't swing with their weapons, so they have nothing to do. The Ranger matchup was already hard for Ninja, and sometimes against Assassin this does beat them out too. Against other classes, which obviously I am a Ninja player, so this is more about me, but even other classes, this just destroys turns because it's a more consistent way to get a red in ledger back, or to get something strong like a Death Touch back, or some other arrow that just ruins turns. You get a Sleep Dart. Well, Dromai can swing with 1 dragon this turn. You get a Sleep Dart against Dory. She can only swing with her weapon once. Whatever other instances of this one specific arrow that you can now only play 1 of and get back. I wouldn't have a problem with this card if the effects were split up, actually. If the Frailty was on a different one and the From Graveyard was on a different one, it'd be fine. Maybe on the Bloodrot Pox, it would be fine. If the Bloodrot Pox was the From Discard and make a Bloodrot Pox, it'd be okay. But for what Frailty is, And for how strong the cards are that you can get back, it's just crazy how strong Codex of Frailty is. So, that's just a small rant. That's going to make this video longer than it has to be, and I'm sorry, because the last one was 40 minutes. But, small rant over. Codex of Frailty, really good. Literally the best card in the set. Codex of Inertia, same things. 2-block, yellow. I forget if I said Codex of Frailty go again. They all have go again. Codex of Inertia, 0 cost yellow, 2-block, go again. This one is from the top of each player's deck. Each player that does put one from the top of their deck discards. Same reason for Frailty. If you have a card in your arsenal you won't discard. You make a Ponder. Your opponent makes an Inertia. Not as strong, mainly because you're drawing a random card. This card's actually okay with the new Ranger chess piece, but other than that, this isn't a good assassin card. Inertia tokens are strong, but they're able to be played around. Not the best card. Definitely the worst of the three. But Frailty is just so strong, and Blood Rot is just pretty good. Moving on with the rest of the multi-class cards, we have the rares and commons. Starting with Death Touch. This is a 1 cost at red, 6 power, 2 block attack with it can't be played from hand, and when this hits a hero you create a Frailty, Inertia, or Blood Rot Pox under their control. Pretty good. Sees play in Assassin, since this is their, I believe, only in-class popper. I don't think they got a, other than if you're Azuri, I believe you have Shakedown. But if you're Arachne, this is your only in-class popper. Which it sucks that none of the reacts work with it, because this isn't Stealth or Contract. But, oh well. If you do play this, it is pretty good. It's a really good card to get off your Codex of Frailty. And I don't think it's very good in Azalea, but actually in Riptide, this card is pretty good because you can easily put it into your arsenal with his ability. So definitely look out for this card in Riptide and some Assassin decks, but other than that, this card really isn't too strong. As well as Azuri can cheat into play. So, next is Toxicity. This is a 2-block at red. The red version gives your next Assassin or Ranger attack action card you play this turn. When this hits a hero, they lose 5 life. Go again. The yellow and blue just decrease the amount of life lost. Originally, I thought this card would be super strong, but thinking about it, you could just play any other pump in Azalea. Like, this card's really only good in Azalea. Arachne doesn't want this. Riptide doesn't want this. Azuri literally shouldn't play this because it doesn't work with her hero ability. Like, I'd rather just play a Lace or a Read the Glide Path or any other pump. Any free pump, I guess. Laces cost 1. They shouldn't really be compared. They're not similar, but like, the loss of 5 life is great, but that's all it does. That's the issue. It also is go again. I don't know, I keep forgetting if I said if the card is go again. It's like, most cards have go again. We should be saying cards that don't have go again at this point. Moving on to the commons, we have Virulent Touch. This is a 0 cost 4 power at red with 2 block. It can't be played from your hand, just like Death Touch, and when the chain link resolves, if it's defended by a card from hand, you give the person that blocked it a Blood Rot Pox. So pretty much, If they blocked with a card from hand, they have to pay 3 or take 2. Not the best card. Good in Draft and Sealed, in Riptide specifically. Not really good anywhere else. A good common, though. This one does not have Go Again. I thought I should specify. Then, finally, we have 3 common traps. These are all Assassin and Ranger traps. And they're all red, and they all block 3. Blood Rot Trap gives the opponent a Blood Rot Pox token if they activated or played a attack reaction. Frailty Trap gives them a Frailty if they attacked with something that has Go Again. And Inertia Trap gives them an Inertia token if that attack has increased power. I don't have an opinion on these. They're all playable. I mean, in Riptide, I don't see a reason not to play them. Blood Rot is probably the worst, all considering, since not every deck plays reactions, but against decks that play reactions, the 2 damage can matter. Inertia Trap seems strong versus some decks, because you just get rid of their arsenal. And I have never been so saddened by a card in my life more than Frailty Trap. Because today alone, in testing, my Kodachi has been Frailty Trapped like 6 times. And I just don't get to swing with my weapon, my other Kodachi. And it just feels terrible. I mean, did Ninja need more counters? No. Did they get more counters? Yeah, that's kind of what Frailty Token is designed for, so I can't really be mad. That's just the way it was really designed. So, whatever. I think all these 3 traps are playable. You'll play them in Riptide. Now, before we move on to the generic cards, we need to talk about the Fabled, because it is a Assassin Ranger card. You can skip ahead a little bit if you don't want to see it, but the set's already been out at this point. I don't know how you haven't. The Fabled for this set is Plague Hive. This is a yellow gem that's an Assassin and Ranger card. It is a legendary, meaning you can only play 1, and when you pitch it, for each opposing hero, you choose Inertia, Frailty, or Blood Rot Pox at random, and then they get a token of that. Good in Riptide, because it's the only Ranger, actually, you can play it in Arachne too, but Arachne probably doesn't care about the token. I mean, it is quite nice in Arachne, so sure, play it in Arachne, but Riptide is really the only one that comes to mind where this super matters. His games are generally going to be going super late, where Azuri can play this and Azalea can play this, but their games are generally faster, and even Arachne, in situations where you're drawing this multiple times, you've either pretty much already lost or your opponent has like no cards left in deck. So giving them the token doesn't matter all too much, especially when you can't choose it, since in almost every situation I'd rather give them the Inertia, like every time, but it's random. So it sucks, but this card is playable. If you play Riptide, this card's really good. Your games are going to go that late. If you don't play Riptide, oh well. Sure, you can put it in a deck if you played it. It's better than the Draconic one, at least. So, it has that going for it. Finally, we have all of the generic cards. The last video was pretty long, so I'm going to try to speed this up. I don't know how much footage I have for this one so far. So I'll try to speed this up when I go over like the commas and rares and stuff or anything that isn't super good. Starting off, we have Vambrance of Determination. This is a generic arms with the effect once per turn attack reaction, 1 resource. The next prevention effect that prevents damage this turn prevents 1 less of that damage. And when this defends, you may pay 1 resource. If you do, it gains +1 and Bleed Break. Pretty good, mainly only for Crown of Seeds. That is this card's only use. Other than that, it's pretty bad, but pretty good if we see more prevention effects. Right now, it's really only Crown of Seeds and like Oasis Respite are the main ones. Next is the Seeker's Cycle. They all have instant, pay 1 resource, destroy it, prevent the next 1 damage that will be dealt to your hero this turn, opt 1. All of these are bad, playable in Draft and Sealed. That's about it. Silken Gi is a chess piece with the instant to destroy it. The next attack action card you play this turn has -1 power and -1 cost. Pretty good in a deck that can't really spend too many resources. It pretty much color shifts a card to make it cost 1 less, which really isn't too bad, although in most situations you will never play it. In some situations, like Draft and Sealed, this card actually does have a lot of uses and is definitely good in those formats. Next is Threadbare Tunic. This is an instant to destroy it and gain a resource, but it's Tunic at home because you have to do it with no cards in hand. This card's okay in Ranger, doesn't really do anything anywhere else. Fisticuffs is an arm with the attack reaction, pay 2 resources, destroy it. Target attack action card gains +1 power. It's alright. I like it. An extra damage. Finally, the last generic equipment is Fleetfoot Sandals. This has the attack reaction to destroy it and give an attack with 1 or less base power go again. Honestly, a pretty funny card, but other than that, not a good card. Moving on, we have the generic Majestics. Amnesia is a 2-cost, 6-power red with 3 block, and says when this hits a hero, cards and tokens they own lose and can't gain names until the start of your next turn. Is only a ninja counter. I can't believe they made another card that's only good against ninja. To be fair, Down and Dirty, a 2-cost, 6-power, 2-block red, which if it's in your arsenal you can defend with it, is only good against Illusionist. So, at least they had their priorities. Give and Take is a 1-cost, 3-power, 3-block red with when Give and Take is defended by an attack action card, you may put an attack action card with cost less than Give and Take's power from your graveyard on the top of your deck. Go again. This card's actually pretty good. I've heard this was seeing play in Briar. I haven't seen anyone play Briar since Outsiders came out, but I've heard it was seeing play in her. So, could be a pretty good card. Gore Belching is a generic attack, 7 power, red, 0 cost, cannot block. When it defends, you reveal cards from the top of your deck until you reveal an attack action card. If you do, you banish it, and then Gore Belching gets minus X power, where X is the power of the banished card. If you don't banish anything, it just gets minus 7, and then you shuffle your deck. If Chain was still here, Chain would love this card. Chain is not still here. This is only a Levia card, and in Levia, at most this is doing 1. So this card's pretty bad. Although we are getting new Chain, I think, probably, so maybe this will see play. Burdens of the Past also, from the art, seems like a Monarch card. I think that might be Arachne on it now that I'm looking at it, but I have no idea what's going on in this card's art. Anyway, it's a blue 0 cost 3 block with until the end of your turn, target hero can't play defense reaction cards with the same name as cards in their graveyard. If there are 10 or more defense reaction cards in your graveyard, draw a card. In their graveyard, draw a card. Go again. Only good against Riptide. Good to see they had their silver bullet priorities. Premeditate. This card is really good. If Codex of Frailty is the best card in the set, this might as well be the second best card in the set. People have called this card Ponder Run because it's very much like a Plunder Run. This is a 0 cost red that blocks 2. The next time an attack action card hits a hero this turn, create a Ponder token, and the next attack action card you play from Arsenal this turn gets +3. Go again. If you're going to play Riptide, you're playing this. If you're going to play Lexi, you're playing this. If you're going to play... I forget the ranger I didn't said. I don't know. My memory is really bad today. If you're playing Codex of Frailty, you're playing this card. If you're playing Guardian, you might be playing this card. There are other classes and other examples that are definitely going to play. This card's really good. I think Runeblades will play it. I think... I'm drawing a blank. Like Bolton could play this. I think it'd be okay in Bolton, actually. So, I don't know. We'll have to see if any other classes play it. But if you're an assassin or a ranger, you're playing this card. 100%. This card has so much synergy with everything else you want to be doing right now. This card's perfect. Moving on to the rares and the commons. I'm just going to go over these quick. Humble is a sleep dart, but it's an erase face stat line. It's good. It'll see play at some point, I'm sure. Infectious Host is... I didn't really read Humble. Let me just read Humble. When it hits a hero, they lose all abilities until the end of their next turn. Like I said, it's Sleep Dart. It's okay. Infectious Host is a 0 cost 4 power at red with 2 block. And when this attack hits a hero, if you control a Frailty token, create a Frailty token under their control, then repeat for Inertia and Bloodrot Pox. Only a draft card and sealed card. Not going to see play in anything else. Looking for Scrap is actually a pretty interesting card. For 1 cost 4 power at red with 2 block, as an additional cost to play it, you may banish an attack with 1 power from your graveyard. When you do, this gains +1 power and go again. There's definitely some decks that might play this, so this might be one of the random generics to look out for, because I think this card could be pretty nice. Wreak Havoc is their attempt to make people not need Command and Conquer. This is, again, the erase face stat line. 2 cost 6 power at red with 2 block. has a yellow and blue version that just reduced the power. Defense reactions can't be played to its chain link. When this hits a hero, you may turn a card in their arsenal face up and then destroy it if it's a defense reaction. Literally, CNC that hits way less things. The worst arsenal destruction effect we have, but it's something to replace CNC if you don't have them. I'd rather play Erase Face or Humble instead, to be honest. I think those are better cards, but I would probably play this over Amnesia. Maybe if you're only playing it for a popper, I'd play Down and Dirty, but there are just way better options. Like this next card, Cut Down to Size. Another card that might actually see play. I think is already seeing play. The same Erase Face stat line with when this hits a hero, if they have 4 or more cards in hand, they discard a card. You know what character would really like this card? Azuri. And I'm pretty sure she's already playing it. So, a pretty good card. Destructive Deliberation could have been an Erase Face stat line, but instead has 1 less power, being a 5/4/3. When this hits a hero, create a Ponder token. Pretty bad. Okay in Azuri and Draft and Sealed, nowhere else. Feisty Locals is a 0 cost 3 power with 2 block at red, and says if this card is defended by an attack action card, it gets +2 power. Honestly, not too bad. I actually really like this red and yellow version, since attack action cards don't have more than 3 block. So you can kind of get in guaranteed damage. I don't like the blue one at all. I wouldn't ever play it. But the red and the yellow have their spots. And they're not going to see too much play. But honestly, I could see the red in some form of aggro deck, to be completely honest with you. Freewheeling Renegades is a 1 cost 6 power 2 block at red with if this is defended by an attack action card, this has -2 power, sort of the opposite of Feisty Locals. I do like it. I think it's okay. It's nice and Draft and Sealed, like especially the red one, since attack actions don't have more than 3 block. So if they block with 1 attack action, it will get in for 4. So it's a good card in Draft and Sealed. Next, we have a reprint of Ravenous Rabble, everyone's favorite 0 cost generic attack. And we have Seek Horizon, which I believe is another reprint. It's not a very good card, though, so it's here. Spring Loaded, I thought was also a reprint, but I'm less sure that this is a reprint, so I'm gonna read it like it's a new card. This is a 1 cost 2 power 2 block at red. When this attacks, if you have no cards in hand, it gets +3. The color shifted ones have less pump. It's always a 1 cost 2 for 2. It's okay. Not gonna turn any heads, but it's there. Come to Fight, I know is a reprint. I don't remember what they changed. They definitely changed something on it. I have no idea what it was. I might have been the name. I'm drawing a blank on that one, but that one's a reprint. Scout the Periphery, I think is what that word is a 0 cost action that blocks 2. You look at the top card of target hero's deck, and then the next attack action you play from your arsenal gets +3, and then just go again. Sort of like a budget premeditate. Really, the only use here, I'd say, is in Arachne, but anywhere else, not the best card. Brush Off is a instant. At red, it prevents 3 damage from one source. Or the next time 3 or less damage will be dealt by one source. So if something's doing 4, this does nothing, which makes the blue and the yellow pretty useless, and I wouldn't play this card in anything. Probably not even Draft and Sealed. This card just seems too weak. And then the last generic card, Peace of Mind, is a 2-cost instant that the next time you would be dealt physical damage this turn, prevent 4 of it, and create a Ponder token. The last few cards here are the tokens. I'm not going to go over them. Ponder's a reprint. Crack Bobble's a reprint. This Spider's Bite and Kodachi are just the inverse daggers. And then these 3 tokens are all about the set themselves. So that's the end. We're done with the Outsiders reviews. So next week, I'm going to try to have a deck list ready. If the Katsu deck I've been working on isn't ready to go, I'll probably do what I played for Skirmish, since my Skirmish is next Wednesday. Well, maybe not. We'll see. Because I would have to make the video in a day, and I probably won't. So maybe in 2 weeks we'll have that. But I think I'll try to have some deck lists ready. So look out for that one. I hope you guys enjoyed the reviews. No, they might get a little long. They might be a little boring because it's just reading cards. I don't know how to spice this up. I don't think I really can. So, thank you for watching, if you made it this far in the video. And I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.